Yeah, hi guys, it's Tuesday the 15th of April, and can you believe it already? 2 and a bit weeks have gone on our quest through France, through Spain, into the far eastern side, into Chavres, into Portugal in the north. We've travelled right down to the south. We then travelled right the way across to the west, and then we've gone all the way up the western coastline. Now, in between that journey, you think, well, that isn't all of Portugal. But in between that, at each stop that we've stayed en route, we've covered the radius, the vicinity. So in this trip so far, we have covered Portugal in its entirety in one trip, in one quest, which is quite an achievement, actually, because we don't normally get that. However, what I can say to start with, before I start talking about a few little bits and pieces along the way, my own personal experiences as well, is that the Portuguese people, what can I say about them really? They're often very friendly until they get into a motorised vehicle, yeah? And then they're like little banshees, little demons. I suppose there's a lot of countries like that really, but my experience of the roadways is they drive way too close to each other, and I've now witnessed 3 main accidents in the wet weather, purely for the reason of cars driving too close together. Come on guys, you Portuguese lot, learn it. Do you not do the highway code, for God's sake? Do it. All you got to do is keep 2 car lengths apart, and when you've got surface water on the road and it's a likelihood of aquaplaning, you slow the speed down a little bit and you give 3 car lengths per car. Yeah, that way you're not going to go banging into each other all the time, which I've seen already. Hey, England's guilty of it too. You know, we're not unique, we're not special, no one's special really. But that's one thing I've really noticed on the quest so far, is the driving can be a lot to be desired. There's very low use of indicators, but then that's the same in England as well. You know, I think a lot of these cars perhaps don't come with indicators. I'm not quite sure, because they don't seem to indicate anywhere. They think that you're fully psychic. Now, some of us are, but they think that you're purely psychic and everyone knows exactly where that car's going to go and everything's going to be fine. Yeah? So, please, for the grace of God, use a blooming indicator. It's not that hard, you know. And it's the same for England too. You know, the amount of times you get on a roundabout in Spain, in Portugal, in England or France or anywhere, and there's numpties driving around with no indication of where they're actually travelling to, or their intent to turn off at the next junction or exit. So please, please, please do it for me. That's my rant over. There we are, I think. But there we are. So we left Cambridge in March. Can you believe that? We left Cambridge on the 25th of March. We went down and stayed in Dymchurch, which is quite a nice little area actually. Dymchurch, down on the south coast of England, Blighty. Went on the Channel Tunnel, which was quite a nice experience this time. We had no one talking away on the mobile phone this time, so that was quite a nice experience, really, to be fair. We then went and stayed in St Jean's de Blay in France, which was okay-ish, I guess. What can I say about that part of, as we went through France? France, I've always liked certain parts of France, especially the southern side, central and southern. I don't really do Paris or anything like that, but I certainly do like the southern sides, really. We travelled through into the Palace of Gaudi, Astorga. So we travelled right through into the Leon district of Spain, where we have been before. And that was quite nice. It's an original palace, now converted into a museum. It's obviously of particular interest to the path. Built by the Templars in the late 13th century, which is quite nice. So that's quite good. We went on to the Iglesia, which is a church de Nostra Senora della O de la Corella de Otero, if I pronounced that correctly. Now that church, again, I've got a little post on there. That's quite good. Had its little moments there. So we've gone through Spain, and then, as I said at the beginning, we ended up in Chavres, which is quite nice. Now, on our journeys, we did go down to many different churches, many places that will all be listed as a reason why I've gone there. It's to collect marks, i.e. what you might know as symbols in the church, that I'm using in my next book called Timeless. Little plug there, Timeless. I hope to get it out by December. It's probably realistic going to be February 26. Literally just called Timeless, to sort of accompany and complement my other books that are already out there in the marketplace across the world, really. My little claim to fame. Braga, we went to Braga. Now that was quite nice, really. It has its, again, quite nice, has its little moments, really. We went to the Chapel of Souls. We have been into Porto already once, and I don't know, we've just come back through Porto again, and yeah, I don't know, I mean, you guys might say Porto's lovely, you love it, city life. I'm not a city boy anyway, you can tell, look at the size of me. I'm a farming sort of boy, country lad, really. Country boy. I like the countryside, I like the calmness of life. I do like a bit of buzz occasionally, but I don't want it in my face 24/7 and hearing sirens everywhere, really, to be fair, let's be honest. So that's quite interesting. Went to the Chapel of Souls. Yeah, it was nice, but it didn't give you anything that you could write home about, to be fair. There was a couple of interesting symbols in there. Yes, it's got a couple of demonic parts in there that are quite good. They're quite useful, really, for my book. We went on to the Capella de Senhor de Pedra in Villanova de Gaia. And it's interesting, there's a place in Portugal called Gaia, because there's a website that also does Gaia, and they talk about other different things, totally different. The now that church in particular is interesting. It's a witchcraft and ancient Christianity. The area screams energy, which it does, and quite oddly, it's on the beach, right at the end of the beach. And there's a guy in there trying to sell you some sort of tat, really, and trying to let you realise or let you know that if you wear a rosemary or a cross, that it's going to protect you and you're going to be saved and have eternal life and all that. And you can get all that for €5. Yeah, you can get it for €5. Guarantee your life. Yeah, guarantee your existence. So you've got some little seller inside there with his little, I'm trying to think of the program there, Only Fools and Horses, isn't it? With the old Trotter Industries, that's what it is. that's what it looked like. I'm sorry, but I got to say it, really. It really screamed there. Went to Zazere. We stayed in Zazere, which was quite nice as well. I think one place I did like, really, was St Mary of Castro in Leon in Valduma, if I'm pronouncing that correct. It's the older place of the Templars from 1168. That church was completed in 1809. Again, there's some interesting parts in there. We then went over to Nistel in the same vicinity, and then we sort of travelled downwards, really, and we went into Chavras. We finally got, as I said to you, into Chavras in Portugal, which was the main part of the trip, is to cover the whole of Portugal. We just had to get there first, really. We'll get here, where I am now. So, Chavras, nice place, quite pleasant, really. Not too bad, not too shabby. We've got the Braga Cathedral. Again, as cathedrals go, it's probably similar to most others, really. I mean, it's got all the usual bits and pieces. I do find it quite fascinating that in some of the little churches and some of the little chapels that we see on our journey, you can actually go onto the high altar to get the right pictures of the beautiful paintings and artworks and things that are up there at the high altar. But in cathedrals, they seem to have this obsession about putting a big red rope across. You may not pass. You know, how dare you cross that rope? I must confess, I have crossed the rope a few times. I've jumped the old rope. Perhaps that's one thing I should write a book about, jumping the rope. That'd be a good title, wouldn't it? Jumping the rope. But just to get the right pictures and the right things for my book, because you can't get the angles otherwise, really. You still get, it's quite interesting. I think and it's not English tourists where we've been, it's mainly Portuguese, a lot of Danish, a lot of Netherlands people, i.e. Holland, Netherlands, people that come here from what I've seen and experienced. I think those tourists, including myself, I guess, outweigh the people that are actually sitting in there to give prayer or thought. I mean, you do see the odd one or two people in there that seem to be either deep in their own within thoughts, or they're looking at you in total disgust because you're taking a photograph. How dare you take a photograph in a church? How dare you? You know, and you get that disgusting look about it. So, but once you sort of block out that disgust from those people and the sense that they just want to throw knives into you for taking that picture in a sacred place, you seem to just crack on and get it done, really, to be fair. So Braga Cathedral, quite nice, quite pleasant. Wow, what can I say about Convento de Cristo? That was an amazing experience in Tomar. I knew I would love Tomar in Portugal. What a fantastic place. The energy buzzing, the people are friendly. It had so much Knights Templar aspects in there. Really worth a visit. It was once owned by the Knights Templar, actually, and it took 5 centuries to build, which I can truly believe that because of the vast size of it. It's amazing. Now, it's said that in one of the walls there lies the Tablet of Destiny. Now, I sort of had a little feely-touchy at that wall, and it didn't sense like it was there, to be fair. But it did sense it was in another part of the castle, which was interesting. So I think there's a bit of a red herring thrown there in the documentary evidence over the years that have been passed down. I think you'll find it's in a totally different location, but still in that castle. Tomar Castle, obviously beautiful, beautiful alike. We went on to John the Baptist Church, quite nice, pleasant. Tomar's pleasant, lovely place. So that's got my boxes ticked on Tomar. We went on to the castle and tower of Torres de Dornez, got to pronounce it right. Ancient Roman tower, 72 BCE. It was interesting parking, let's put it that way. You're right up on a massive, great steep cobblestone hill, and you think, oh my God. And then, as you do, like I do, I dump the car as quick as I can to try and get some kind of parking space in the most precarious of positions, only to just go around the corner when I'm outside the vehicle and realise there's a massive great car park. Classic. But the actual castle and tower was beautiful. They had a service going on there at the time in the main church there, which again was quite nice to just pop in and see some things going on. Great photos and things. Nice little photo shoot there. We also went through Becco. Now, Becco's an interesting place. I mean, it's said Becco goes back to prehistoric times with settlements, and I truly believe that because it's certainly got that feel about it. It's got a nice little quaint chapel there in relation to the creation of Earth itself. It's quite good. Now, the main church there, the Igreja Matiz de Santo Aleixo, if I pronounce that correctly, is founded in 1538. It underwent renovations in the 17th and 18th centuries. What's interesting that it's had a lot of Masonic input into that particular church, and it certainly shows that inside that church as well, the certain symbols that I've already posted as well. So from there we've sort of travelled through, we've gone on to Nisa, we've gone on to Tolosa, and then we've gone to the Lady of Nazareth, which was quite pleasant as well. A lead vision of a UFO sighting encounter. 12th century Portuguese knight Dom Fausto Rufino detailed the encounter of a UFO. Did he see one? I don't know. I wasn't there at the time. So we can only leave it as some kind of speculation. But there's certainly a lot of interest around the Anta de Seo gens, the Tolosa church in Tolosa there. That's probably worth a little bit more research, to be fair. So, and obviously into the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Nazareth over at Nazaré. I'm saying, let me pronounce that correctly. Nazaré. Beautiful coastal church there. UFO sightings, as I said. It's quite interesting, to be fair. So we've then got the Mir de Air, which is the underground cave experience. Now, Janet and I have been on these underground cave experiences before. This was a little bit challenging to go and have a look, but amazing to see with some of the pictures, amazing to see, and you're so far underground as well, which is quite good, quite interesting. So we then travelled through to Evora in Portugal. That was good. Excellent chapel there, decorated in human skulls and bones, 13th century, royal chapel being in favour of the king, quite interestingly so. And then we've gone into, we had a little bit of a change of it round actually, so we're getting into Saturday where we left Candida. That was an interesting place, Candida actually, that was quite nice. Had its interesting, you're really in the thick of residential area, so but the people were friendly enough, and the property suited our needs, so that was quite good. In between that, we also went to a place called Santarém, which I've already documented. I had to reschedule at last moment to go to Santarém because I thought, oh, that's a place we really need to be at, and it's a beautiful place. It ticks all the boxes. Santarém. Now, yesterday we were meant to go to Porto Cathedral. I cancelled that fully, and we decided to go to the Church of Our Lady of Oliveira, which is a church from 1428 CE, but built on a much older site. The whole area is purely medieval area. It's beautiful. I've documented a lot of the information already. Some interesting symbols within the church. Certainly ones that I picked. There's one particular mark which I have not seen for 30 years, and there it was screaming at me, and I thought, very subtle indeed, hidden away almost whilst everyone's looking at the glitz and glamour and the gold bits and stuff. There's that symbol mark on that particular pillar, and yeah, it certainly ticked the boxes. I'll be writing much more about that particular symbol. It's quite fascinating because it goes back to the Sumerian times, and it's been used only by pure craft, pure blood. That symbol has only been used by pure craft through the centuries. So that's got my attention there. So yeah, absolutely wonderful place. That's called Guimarães, if I'm pronouncing that right. Guimarães in northwestern Portugal, just northwest of Porto. You can keep Porto. You know, I'm not really interested in Porto. It's too busy, too much, way too much. But you can give me all day long Guimarães. What a beautiful place, and the energy's right, and everything's right about the place. The church is just amazing. I think Santarém still ticks the box, to be fair, Santarém. So Santarém, I think Nazaré was nice, Santarém and Guimarães yesterday. They're the three main points in Portugal that have got my boxes ticked, for the obvious reasons, I guess. Not always open to some. Anyway, that's enough waffling. We are here where we are today, Tuesday the 15th of April. It's been an amazing trip so far. You can see I'm in this like typical Portuguese farmhouse. Can you believe? It's a very big place actually, massive great corridors and things. And yeah, it's just amazing. If I can, I'm just going to show you the little view from my window. If I can, I'm not quite sure. There we are. There's a view from my window. Look, going out there to the woods and things. Absolutely amazing. Pretty good. There we go. So, guys, keep following. It's great to have you on board. We've got another week or so to go. Many more interesting places to go to. Don't forget to look into YouTube and click on the posts button. There's a post tab where you can see all my posts each day as well, which will be quite good, quite useful. Have a great day.